Welcome back to our basic goalie tips series for NHL 22. In this video, we're going to be talking about reading plays. And this is the second most important part of playing goalie in this game next to tracking the puck. So if you haven't seen that first video, please go back and watch it now. All the tips I'm going to give you in this video are going to build off the last tips I gave you. So go back and watch it and come back to this one when you're ready. The first thing we're going to have you do is switch to fixed, classic, or overhead. And the reason we want to use one of these cameras is because we can see the whole ice, we can see every single player on the ice, and the camera doesn't move. In the first video, we used the low camera to help us track the puck, and that's because the camera is behind our goalie and constantly moving, but there are lots of blind spots, and that's not going to help us for the purpose of this video. So if you want to know what camera I use fixed. I use that in competition, but I encourage you to try the other ones out as well, as lots of other top goalies are using classic and overhead. The reason we want to use these cameras is to help us read the play. We want to watch the puck, we want to check out where our opponents are on the ice, and we want to see our defenders. What we don't want to do is stare at our goalie constantly. If you're constantly staring at your goalie, you're going to be behind the play, you're not going to be able to react to passes, and your positioning is going to be off. This is one of the things that newer goalies really struggle with. So if you're constantly having to check your positioning and you're not confident that you're square to the puck, you need to go back and keep working on tracking the puck. So what we're looking for is patterns in the offense, open passing lanes, and open shot lanes. The more you play this game and the higher you go up in competition, the more you're going to understand and recognize what other teams are trying to do. If you're in drop-in, it's obviously really hard to recognize any sort of pattern or play because most likely the team you're playing against doesn't have any chemistry. But if you're in a league or in an esports competition, then you're going to start to recognize certain plays that teams use and rely on to score. When your opponents earn open passing lanes and open shooting lanes, they're going to take them because defense is so good in this game that they don't have a choice. That may be the only opportunity they get to make a play, so you have to learn to recognize it, and that's when you make your move. So now that we know what we're looking for, how do we save it? Well, the most important thing for a goalie to have in this game is depth control. Control over our movements and control over how aggressive we are in the crease. Now, if you watched the first video, you saw that graph I posted that talked about the closer you are to puck, the more you have to move. Well, that's still very important for this video. If there's a pass and it goes from one circle to the other, and you're really aggressive and outside your crease, you've got a long way to travel to save that one-timer. And chances are, good teams are going to bury that on you. So you have to play a little bit closer towards your crossbar in order to shorten that distance traveled so you can get across to save one-timers. And yes, at a certain point, you are expected to save those. Now, I wish the game didn't force us to play so shallow, but it kind of does. Even with the speed boost and the right stick, it's really hard to get across the crease in control of our movement fast enough. So we got to draw it back and pick our battles when we're aggressive. You can see that I keep a pretty tight box in my crease. I'm not venturing too close to the top of my crease unless I absolutely have to. There's times where people are entering the zone and I'm near the top of my crease, but when the offensive team gets set up, I'm keeping my movements very, very tight. As soon as I see an open passing lane or a shooting lane, I make my move. You can see on the open passing lane, I draw back towards the middle of my net so that I can make a short movement to save the one-timer. And you can see on the shots that I do the opposite. I move up to the top of my crease to cut down the angle. Now, the reason we want to be in control of our depth and our movements is so that we can be patient and wait for the play to unravel in front of us. You can get in a lot of trouble swimming around in your crease and butterfly and being too aggressive and getting caught behind the play. The most important skill a goalie can have outside of controlling their movement is just straight up patience. I know it's a video game and we want to constantly be moving and we want constant action, but that's not what this position's about, really. I see way too many newer goalies complain about 5-hole goals, and they're just trying to do way too much. They say, well, I got to stand up when the puck's near my net because I need to be able to move to save the cross crease. And yes, if you want to save a cross crease pass, you should probably be on your feet. There's exceptions to that, but If you want to save an in-tight cross-crease play, you're going to have to stand up and you're going to have to cheat. But that's the point. There's a risk and there's a reward to that. If they happen to go 5-hole or skate the puck into you, it's probably going to go in, and that's your fault as well. If you play on a top 10 team and you get 5-holed when your defense has the passing lanes covered, that's your fault and you're going to get cut. That's the sad reality of it, because your job is to be consistent and make saves when your team does the right things. And it's not always necessary to be the hero and bail them out. The best way to be consistent is to just simplify your game. Okay? The less we try to do, the better we're going to be. Less is more. In the first video, I talked about removing the right stick from your game. I still encourage you to do that. There are times where it's absolutely necessary to use it, but those only become apparent when you stop using it for a little while. I also talked about using the speed boost and having a slow build. I even changed that. I tried a high speed build that Shekel was using, and I modified it to the way I like my build set up. And I just stopped using speed boost completely, and my gameplay has gotten a lot better. I'm finding that if I'm slightly late to certain plays in tight, I get the split save animation a lot more, and that's super valuable because it's a really, really good animation. Whereas if I'm on time and moving quickly and doing butterfly slides, it increases the chances that it's going to go 5-hole and sneak between my legs. I hope this video helped you guys. I'm going to probably keep it really simple going forward because that's the best way to be good in this game. And it might be boring, it might not be rewarding, but that's a different problem. All right, I'm teaching you how to be good right now. We'll worry about fixing the game and making it a little more fun in other videos. All right, thanks for watching, guys. Our next video is going to be on decision making, which sounds pretty boring, but in reality, it's probably the third most important skill a goalie can have, and there's still lots of great technical advice to be had there. So stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.